Hey everyone, it's Seeker, and guys, the other day, if you don't remember, I released a video talking about Silver Squeeze 2.0 and what my concerns were about said attempted Silver Squeeze. Now, I got tons of comments on that video. I got over 20,000 views. A lot of people are agreeing with me, a lot of people disagreeing with me, and that's fine. Keep in mind, opinions are great because we're all entitled to them, and yours is just as valid as mine is. I just like to share mine here with you guys on this channel, so thank you for the support by watching those videos and leaving your comments down below. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I go through and I read all my comments. I guess I can't say I see every single one. There are probably times when so many come through while I'm asleep that I may miss a couple of here. They get buried, whatever. But I try and read all the comments that come through on my channel. So what I did today is I went through that video. I picked out a few comments that I wanted to respond to here with you guys and delve a little bit deeper into the discussion of the comments that you guys left. So that's what we're going to do today. So we'll get over there and start looking at those comments and start talking about them. But really quick, guys, before we do, if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, go down below and subscribe. It really helps me out. Click the bell so you don't miss any future video notifications, and let's get into it. All right, guys, well, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Our first comment comes from JeffSG. He goes, I don't think the premiums on silver will come back down. I really think paper will come up to the price of what we are paying today. Just my thoughts. And by the way, Jeff is a channel member, so thank you so much for supporting the channel by being a channel member. I really appreciate it, Jeff. Let's get into what you're saying here. So he says he doesn't think the premiums are going to come down because the price of silver is going to go up. Well, if it goes up and the premiums stay, then really the premiums stayed up. You're right. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's not like silver's going to go to, I mean, right now it's at 27 and change. It's not like silver's going to get to 35 and then all of a sudden there's not going to be premiums. The premiums are going to remain even when we get there. But the point, I think what we're trying to say about premiums is that there is a huge disconnect. I've actually said this before and I don't disagree with it. When you talk about there's a huge disconnect between the physical price of silver and what you can get, buying paper silver on the COMEX. I agree with that. That's true. I just think they're a little bit higher than they should be right now. And there's probably a couple of reasons for that. One, the whole silver squeeze thing is really, really good for these big companies. Let's be honest. It's really good. I mean, SD Bullion did a sale for the silver squeeze. I didn't see the details specifically, but I saw images of the advertisement for it. They were doing a big sale in silver right before the silver squeeze is coming. This morning I went to APMEX and just as an attempt, I wanted to see what happened after the weekend was over. I went to APMEX and I was able to add a few $1 million of silver into my cart very, very easily. You can only add a maximum of 9,999 of any one item to the cart, and I still had no problem getting to a couple of $1 million in my cart before I finally stopped. I was able to add, 99.99 Buffalo rounds, for example. Anyway, these guys want you guys to continue to buy the silver at these premiums because they're making a ton of money on it. And, I wouldn't be surprised if SD Bullion and APMEX has employed people to really push the silver squeeze on the Reddit. We're going to get into that in a future video in a much larger discussion. I don't want to delve into it too deeply. But let's go over into number 2, and this kind of is in the same line, so we're going to stay on the same topic here. He goes, I believe separation between physical and paper is a good thing because eventually no one will pay attention to the paper price. So this kind of goes in to what Jeff S&G was saying as well. He thinks that no one will pay attention to the paper prices of silver. Bob, I have to disagree with you there. So long as paper is what is being used to pay your rent, pay your mortgage, pay your car note, buy your gasoline, your food and water, etc. As long as it's being used to purchase all of the necessities that we all need to live and survive here in the United States of America, no one is ever going to stop paying attention to the difference in paper to silver value. Now, if we ever get to a massive, massive level of hyperinflation, like let's say Venezuela or Zimbabwe, and literally paper becomes worth nothing. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, theoretically, if we ever did that, then I would believe that at that point you would be correct. But again, so long as the US dollar is the #1 used currency in the entire world, and it's what we use here in the US to determine what it's going to cost us to do all the things we live with, then yes, I agree. Now, that being said, going into inflation, I do believe, while I don't think we're going to see Zimbabwe level hyperinflation, I do believe we're going to see massive inflation. I've talked about this in previous videos. where I think that I think in the next 5 or 10 years, I bet if you took a notepad and you just wrote down the price of eggs and milk and bread and all that today, and then compared it in 10 years to what you wrote down today, you'd be in for a big surprise. Maybe do that. Maybe go to your local grocery store and see what they have it at, and then compare it in 5 or 10 years and see what it is. But yes, I do believe silver is undervalued. I do believe there's a separation between physical and paper, but at the same time, we're never going to stop paying attention to what the paper price of silver is, because that's what we live on. So until the gas station down the road takes my 90% to pay for my gas, and to the grocery store takes my 10-ounce bars to pay for my grocery cart, it's, we're always going to be looking at that paper price. Okay, well, going into number 3, this one right here is from LD Adams. He goes, I figure the feds will damage the dollar so badly that there will be no place for silver to go but up, all by itself. Paper is paper, but physical metals are what we trade in. Well, this kind of goes back to what I was just saying. We don't necessarily actually trade in physical metals, because I can't walk into the gas station and buy gas with my 90%. I can't go to the grocery store and use bullion for my groceries, etc. I'm pretty sure that my lender for the mortgage on my house is not going to accept, a couple of 10-ounce bars for my mortgage payment, is my point. But yes, the feds are damaging the dollar. I just spoke about that as well. We are definitely going to see some massive inflation, so get ready, guys. I don't disagree there. Going on to the next one, guys. This one comes from It's Common Sense. He says, they're keeping the premium high to discourage people from buying silver. Who wants to pay 34 for something worth 26? I'm still buying it, and others need to too, but because we'll force them to raise spot price. Well, I'm not sure by what you mean by will force them to raise spot. I mean, these retailers are not the ones controlling spot, but, obviously if we are able to drain the COMEX, which is what they are attempting to do with the silver squeeze, then yeah, I get what you're saying. But where you go on to say that the premiums are being kept high to discourage people from buying silver, I don't think that's true. I mean, like I said, SD Bullion had a sale for the silver squeeze day the other day. APMEX has millions of dollars of inventory still in stock right now as I'm recording this video. So I don't think they are discouraging people from buying. They want people to buy. They just want to bank as much fiat as they can. Remember, at the end of the day, these businesses, they still work on fiat. They may buy and sell silver, and SD Bullion may release videos about how silver is undervalued. But keep in mind, they still are a business that operates on fiat currency. They operate on their profits from fiat. They pay their employees in fiat. At least I believe most of them do. I doubt that their employees are taking their entire paycheck in silver. They might take their paycheck and then put some of it back into silver, sure. But at the end of the day, they're paying their employees in fiat currency. They are operating on fiat currency. So what do I mean by that? Like if silver's +8, but they can get it back off the COMEX for spot or even $1, whatever. Let's just say, for example, this is theoretical, but let's just say they're selling silver for +8. Silver Eagles for +8, and they can buy them back for +3, okay? They're making $5 per ounce. So if they sell 100,000 Eagles, they made $500,000 in fiat currency before any costs are involved, payroll, etc. They made $500,000 in profit. Do you think they don't want to do that? Because even if they took all the money and they bought the 100,000 Silver Eagles right back, they still have the extra 500. So now they have the 100,000 Eagles and they have the $500,000, which they can then use to cover payroll, etc. They made $500,000. So yes, they want you to buy it. They want you to buy it as much as you can. SD Bullion and APMEX and all them are probably loving this right now. They're absolutely flabbergasted and excited about you guys buying all of the silver. So I disagree. They do not want to discourage people from buying silver. Okay, guys, next up, this one comes from Samuel Lake. And additionally, I also put one of the replies down there because I wanted to respond to the reply as well. So Sam says, what if we stop stacking? What if nobody bought any for an extended period of time? Wouldn't the big guys have to lower their premiums? Just a theory, great video. If you're talking about APMEX and SD Bullion, yes, eventually they would get into a fight to lower the premiums because no one's buying. And so how that works is, if you just look at it from a business standpoint, if they can't sell Buffalo rounds at 4, let's say APMEX and SD are both at 4. Let's just use these two as an example. I know there's more. But let's say APMEX and SD are both at 4 and they're not selling. Well, APMEX is going to drop it. Well, let's be honest. SD will do the first. SD will drop it to 375. And when they drop it to 375, they'll do that to try and spur some sales, to take some sales away from APMEX. So if they're only selling a few thousand ounces a week, SD would rather take all of those few thousand ounces a week. So they'll lower their silver so people buy from them instead of APMEX. Well, the sales are still really slow. APMEX comes back and says, well, we'll do 350, or well, it's APMEX, so they'll probably do 374. But you get my point. Yes, eventually that will cause prices or premiums to come down. Absolutely. But good luck doing that. I mean, no one wants to stop buying silver. Let's be honest. There's more and more people getting into silver stacking, and they should, and you shouldn't stop buying, in my opinion only. You cannot use this as financial advice. In my opinion, you shouldn't stop buying. You should continue to stack so long as you have extra money that you can use to stack. Obviously, as I've said in previous videos, make sure you have all your emergency money as well as all of your bills covered and everything that you need to live comfortably, put aside, and then anything extra, you know, if it were me, I'd be putting it into silver. But information distribution here, he responds, he says, the largest demand market for silver is industrial. He says private investment only makes up a small percentage of total demand. Correct. However, you're not thinking about it like that, because industrial is not going out and buying silver eagles and maples and cougarans. They're not going out and buying the Charlie Browns and the dolphins and the puffer fish and the penguins and the, you know, they're not going out and buying the stuff that has the premium on it. They're not interested in buying buffalo rounds. They're buying the 1,000-ounce Comex bars. That's what they're getting, and they're paying very, very low premiums already. So industrial demand really isn't affecting the premiums on what we're buying for investment purposes right now. So honestly, information distribution, I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong, but come on, that's like apples and oranges there. It's totally different. It's still silver though, so if we could all afford to buy 1,000-ounce Comex bars, maybe we should. All right, so next one we have from Kevin Osborne. He goes, and this one's sad, and this kind of goes into what I was talking about, how the silver squeezes are going to hurt local shops. Kevin says the owner of the coin shop down the street had to get a job at a supermarket because he's getting killed by the spread. So if nobody's selling, this is what I'm talking about. Everyone says LCSs are doing great, blah, blah, blah. But listen, if nobody's selling to the LCSs, they have to buy at those high premiums from wholesalers. And they have to sell it competitively, so they are not making very much on it right now. I looked at Upstate today. They went like over $10 an ounce over spot for Silver Eagles. 10 over. Like, it's like 10.75 or something. And they only sell wholesale to places like LCSs. They don't sell to me and you. And they're selling to these shops at like 10 over at wholesale. So yeah, these shops have to stay competitive. They're making almost nothing and nobody's selling it to them where they make most of their money. Yes, a shop is going to pay less across the counter than they're going to pay less to a wholesaler. Let me tell you why. They buy from the wholesaler only when they need it, but they can buy across the counter a little bit cheaper, and that protects them from bigger spot moves. So if you can pay, let's say with buffalo rounds, for example, you can buy it wholesale for $3.50 over, you're going to want to pay $2 over spot across the counter because you have another $1.50 to work with there, and you're buying it on the customer's demand instead of your own. So yes, shops will buy across the counter less than they'll buy from wholesalers, and they should. And yes, they are getting killed right now because no one's walking in and selling it. So Kevin, perfect. He said the owner of the coin shop had to get a job at a supermarket because he's getting killed by the spread. I believe that wholeheartedly. All right, guys, last up on our list, this one comes from Spacewalker. He says, I only started stacking since the last week of February, so most of my stuff came with high premiums. If Wall Street Silver runs the prices up on silver, then I will just start buying gold instead, even if it has high premiums too. You know, that's a valid point. The premiums on gold are also going up, even though there's no gold squeeze. But, you know, the percentage that the gold premiums are going up are much lower than silver. And technically, historically, gold is also more stable of a metal. So if you, Spacewalker, if you can buy gold, you know, at 1 ounce or better pieces because the premiums are sky high on small stuff. But if you can buy like 1 ounce bars, 1 ounce eagles, 1 ounce cougarans, etc., yeah, I mean, you're paying a smaller premium on those, so you're not paying as much over spot. You don't have to climb up as high as you need to if you were to buy silver right now. So I get what you're saying right there. All right, guys, well, that's the ones that I picked out for you today. Like I said, there's tons more, and I responded to many of them, but not all of them. Let me know what you thought about the video. Do you have any comments you want me to look at? Maybe in a future video, let me know down below, or make sure you comment on my future videos as well. Don't forget to subscribe, click the bell for my future notifications, and we'll see you next time. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I did leave a video above you can check out if you haven't seen it yet. I also want to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to my awesome channel supporters scrolling right there on the right hand of the screen. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.